with Coach Bryant Harrison. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Yes, sir. Appreciate having you. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. So Coach Harrison and I totally forgot about this, but we first got connected in 2021, and I reached out to him about recruiting, just some questions about my company, CoachTools. So fast forward to now, Coach Harrison is the defensive line coach at Central Gwinnett High School, which is in Georgia. To kick things off, Coach, can you just share with the audience a little bit about your background and how you've ultimately gotten involved in your current role?
Okay. Well, I started coaching at I was a GA at Georgia State University. Actually, no, let's go back. I actually started coaching a women's football team back in 2009, the Atlantic Explosion. Started there. While I was there, I was Georgia State was also that was starting a football program. So I wanted to get involved with them, trying to see if I can be an intern, something like that. I had contacted Coach Pugh, who's one of my coaching mentors now to this day. Contacted him a few times. Finally got an interview, and I got in as a GA, and I was there for 2 years. While I was there as a GA at Georgia State, man, I had a chance to learn a lot of different things as far as dealing with, as a player, you play football, but you don't really know the aspects of really coaching. So I was really blessed to work with some great coaches while I was there. Coach Curry, who was the head coach, Coach Midget, like I said, Coach Pugh, and Coach Ward was the D-line coach. Coach John Thomas was the defense coordinator. And we had a coach named Coach Coggins, who was strength and conditioning coach. And I got to learn so much dealing with the defense, dealing with how to set up drills, and how to build relationships with players, because that's one of the biggest aspects is building that relationship with the players, So while I was there, I was able to, be hands-on with setting equipment up. I got to sit in meetings. I got to work with recruiting, and watch film and evaluate players and get that whole aspect of how things work at the college level. And I actually had no aspiration of even going coaching high school football at all. I was at we had a home game there at the Georgia Dome at the time, and at the game, one of the coaches from Medical High School, Coach Grimmage, came to me and asked me what I did there, and I told him what I did. Then he asked me if I had any aspiration of coaching high school football, and I said, not really. You know what I'm saying? I want to really stay in college. And then Coach Pugh told me, we talked about it, and he said, hey, that'd be a good opportunity for you to go there, you know what I'm saying, and possibly help out these kids and relationship with the kids and things of that nature. So I did, went to Meadow Creek, and I was there for a couple of years. Then I ended up going to Jefferson County High School there in Florida. It's in Monticello. Went there for 2 years. My father passed away, so then I moved back to Georgia, back to Meadow Creek, where Coach Pugh was the head coach that I worked with at Georgia State. And we went from there and won one game. At the time, I'm not really sure if you're familiar with Meadow Creek. I think it was one of the worst programs in the state. At the time, they had won like 2 games in, I believe, 12 to 14 years.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty tough, man. We always had good talent there, so we just had to get some other pieces there to get things going in the right direction. So while I was there with Coach Pugh, we had won our first game in a long time. Then Coach Carrera came on. Coach Carrera came on, I believe it was 2015 or 2016. I can't remember, but he came in, and that first year he won 3 games. And then everybody's like, wow, what the hell? I was like, how did Meadow Creek win 3 games? They went from there, then we won 6 and won 7, and it's been going that direction ever since, man. So, and coaching, man, it's just been a grind. That's one of the biggest things I can tell coaches, man. You just got to grind, build relationships. You got to grind it out.
Yeah. And it's cool you were talking about building relationships. I was just having a podcast the other day. We were talking about, everything outside of the X's and O's when it comes to culture, building relationships, and in recruiting, but also with fellow coaches. So can you talk about that and what advice you might be able to give like a coach who's just starting off, who is trying to like make connections with fellow coaches? And I know we're coming up on convention season too. So, it might be
Yeah,
a good time to talk about that.
yeah. One of the biggest aspects as far as relationships go both ways, especially in the coaching industry. Like I said again, I was able to work with a lot of great coaches there at Georgia State. So relationships I built with them and them knowing other people, and staying in contact with them and asking them different questions and advice about things, then the guys you play football with, they become coaches, so it's a big networking there and just it's staying in contact with them and getting information about different things and how you can always build because as a coach, you got to always understand that it's always new things and you got to want to improve yourself, you know what I'm saying? Because you're a student as well, in the game. So every year you got to understand that you have to improve or whatever. However you teach now is not going. It's always better ways to do it,
Yeah.
So doing that is a great thing. Going to the recruiting fairs, meeting these college coaches when you go to recruiting fairs there, be high school kids, seeing other high school coaches there, doing things like you do with the podcast, getting on with fellow coaches. But yes, the recruiting, the coaches clinic, the Glazer clinic, and the big one that they have, the AFCA, is a real big, good avenue to definitely tap in with other coaches. Just tapping in, just want to pick their brain about things that they do with their program and how you can implement it in your program as well is great.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, you talked about being flexible and always evolving as a coach. So one of the conversations that I had recently was about like Bill Belichick and over the past couple of years, maybe he hasn't been as adaptable as some of the other coaches out there in the NFL. But can you talk about some like specific examples of how a coach can be adaptable and always be innovative?
Well, coach can always be adaptable and innovative just by learning. You know what I'm saying? Just always um, be on the way of because when you talk about building relationships, you got to understand that with the kid that you coach, every kid is gonna be different, and that's one thing I've had to understand here at Central. Our kids are a lot different than the kids I had at Meadow Creek. So I can't really be as hard on them as I was for everyone like I was at Meadow Creek. So you got to be able to be adaptive with the kid, and then with that information that you get while working with that kid, what other coaches ever did with the same thing in their programs. So you look at the other programs, different high schools, different areas, and say, hey, coach, I see how you know what I'm saying, do this to do that. I have a same style kid here in my school. So can you give me some information on how you do in this situation? When you do this drill, how do you get them to use their hands or get them to get them out the ball faster? How do you get them to stay low? You know what I'm saying? What are some good pass rushing drills and technique do you have with a kid who, maybe has a deficient with his arm or with his leg or can't really play and go this way. So it's constant involvement and just talking, communication is the key. I'm a health teacher too. So that's one of the biggest things dealing with the health triangle. We talk about the health triangle and communication, your physical, emotional, social need, but that communication is key.
Oh
With
yeah.
anything that you do in life, you gotta be able to communicate and talk with others.
Yeah, and I mean communication is everything. And going back to just some of my experiences as a coach. So the year I graduated college in 2021, I went back to my grade school and I was a coach for my 7th and 8th grade team. So
Mm,
just obviously coming from a college program directly to
yeah,
working with like 13 to 14-year olds, it's
yeah, that's tough.
huge change. So I
That's
mean,
tough.
yeah, so that was like, a big thing for me is just knowing how to talk to the kids because like you can't really for
Yeah,
especially for nowadays kids that are young now you can't really be super hard on them like you were maybe when I was young or when you were young. That's
absolutely.
but that's the thing, like just knowing your audience, like knowing your kids and adapting your style based on those kids and like the way that you communicate with them.
But that also helps you get better as well because you have to teach them the fundamentals. And with my guys, I always do it to a level where I want you to be able to coach another kid. So if we're doing a drill over here and I got a kid more experience, I work with a freshman kid. And this kid, I might pair him up with a freshman or a sophomore. He a senior, and it's teaching them the fundamentals of everything. You know what I'm saying? When you dumb it down that level and you teach them every aspect of your hands, of your feet, placement of your hands, all that as a defensive line position, they start to understand it a lot better. You know what I'm saying? So then
Oh yeah.
like you said, working at middle school, man, you got to go all the way down to the basement. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
You got to go to the basement with the fundamentals. So that right there is gonna help you be a better coach when you start coaching high school and even in college. I got some friends who play in the NFL and told me a lot of different stories about NFL coaches that, you know what I'm saying, that didn't know a whole lot that they did in high school or college, you know what I'm saying? So all that is going to help them grow and evolve at different levels.
Definitely. Definitely. And like you were saying too, like kids that are that age, that's where they learn all the fundamentals. So in a lot of
Yeah,
ways, that level, the coaches at that level are just as important as the coaches at the college or NFL level, because those
absolutely.
are the guys that are building them from the ground up.
Absolutely.
Any last words of advice, coach, that you want to share with the audience?
Well, just in the like you said earlier, man, with the whole coaching aspect and want to be great, involved, and get to the highest level you want to get to. Like I said, it's a lot of prayer, it's a lot of commitment with time. You know what I'm saying, and definitely it's a grind. It really is a grind because at the high school level, you're more than a coach. You're a mentor. You're a father figure. You know, a lot of kids don't have a father in their lives. You know what I'm saying? You're Uber, you know what I'm saying? You uncle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta provide so much, you know what I'm saying? Food, you gotta take them home, maybe take them to get a haircut, you big brother, you everything, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of these kids. And that's how you get them kids to be able to run through a wall for you to let them know, understand that you really care. You know what I'm saying? If you show a kid that you really care and you're really able to put the time, you know what I'm saying, the commitment into what it is that you're doing, then they're gonna do anything they can for you. You know, and that's one of the biggest things I can always tell any coach who's starting out coaching is just commit your time and your whole being and be the best you can be every day.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more with that, coach. Really appreciate you being on the podcast today. Best of luck this off season and into the next year.
Yes, I appreciate you, brother.